I'd love for you to talk a bit about what you found when you really studied these cases of incurable disease.
Yeah, and this has a lot of relevance outside of just incurable disease because the things these people did at a very extreme level, kind of like at the Olympic level, has a lot of relevance for the rest of us because it's just not true what we were taught in medical school that diseases are strictly genetic. And once we figure out and map the genome, that we'll be able to figure out treatments. It turns out that 85+% of illnesses, including all the major killers, are actually lifestyle diseases. And that, yes, genes are part of what goes on, but genes get turned on and off by lifestyle. So we now know that it's our lifestyles, it's our nutrition, it's our relationship with stress, it's these other factors that we're going to talk about that play such a big role in most of the illnesses from which people suffer. And that includes all the major killers like heart disease, diabetes, lung disease, cancer, autoimmune illness. These are lifestyle illnesses. And what's tragic is that in Western culture, whether you're in the United States or in Australia or Europe, we treat lifestyle illnesses as if they are incurable. So if a person has diabetes or heart disease or many forms of cancer, instead of addressing the lifestyle factors that are related to this, we just give people medications that usually help them tread water, but don't completely heal the illness. Now, that's a big topic and can't be applied across all situations. There are certain kinds of cancer, for example, where the medications are much improved relative to even 10 years ago, and they can treat an illness in a way that is just so much better than the chemosuppressants, the immune suppressants that we used to give, that were just basically a race between killing the cancer versus killing the person.
Mm.
I describe in Cured about the relationship of spontaneous remission, which is what I study, to how the new treatments for cancer came out of that research. And now we actually are stimulating the immune system in very specific ways and going after the tumor or the cancer very directly instead of just giving an immune suppressant that suppresses the immune system and then is just a race between killing the person and killing the cancer.
Mm. Yeah, you and I mentioned before we came on, there's some amazing, amazing drugs now that they've,
Yes.
made in the last 2 years that have really helped a lot of people that have had, lung cancer, breast cancer. It's actually quite incredible that, not everyone has to be hooked up to a chemo machine like they used to be when you were first, diagnosed with cancer. Obviously, that still does happen, but,
Right.
science has done some amazing, amazing things. But one thing I
Yes.
want to touch on that you kind of just brought up is I can't believe that in this day and age, with the knowledge that we have, that people go in with a diagnosis and the doctor doesn't talk to them about their lifestyle, doesn't talk to them about any traumas they've had, doesn't talk to them about anything that they're eating or the stress in their life. They just go in with the medication. I mean, everyone must
Yes.
know that it's a holistic view, medication plus, plus, plus. I mean, this
Yes.
dumbfounds me.
Yeah, it's such a huge issue, and I'm glad you raised that. It took me years of listening to these people with medical evidence for their recoveries before I finally began to get it. It was like this light slowly dawned. I was just a slow learner, but I began to realize, oh, I was trained as a physician to make a diagnosis, start a medication, and that's as far as we go. We don't study how people heal, and that's almost completely true. That's beginning to change. We are at the end of the era of disease and medications, and that's a really big story. We are at the very beginning of a new era where we actually study how people heal, but we need to begin doing that at a whole different level than we are. So most physicians will make a diagnosis and start a medication, and that's really all we do. And the people, of course, that I study, they're not even the compliant or good patients. They're the ones that question things. They're the ones that cause a little bit of trouble. They fire doctors. If the doctors don't listen to what's going on for them, they'll go find a doctor and a team of professionals who can help them accomplish their goals and their path. So they're on a really different path and taking responsibility for their treatment in a way that is very different than the passivity of what we teach patients. So it's a big topic you're raising.